The stars had seen many species rise and fall across millions of years. Empires had grown like flowers and died like embers. Wars had burned across entire systems, leaving nothing but ash and memory. But in all that time, the galaxy had never seen anything quite like the humans. They came from a small blue world at the edge of an Ida Sea, unremarkable spiral arm. Their planet was violent and harsh. Earthquakes shook their cities. Storms drowned their coastlines. Predators hunted them in the forests and the plains. Disease swept through their populations like wildfire, and yet somehow they survived. They did more than survive. They built civilizations, reached for the stars, and eventually joined the Galactic Council as the newest members of the cosmic community.
At first,
the other species did not know what to make of them, the Orvaxians. With their rigid exoskeletons and cold logic, found humans confusing. These soft creatures laughed at things that were not funny. They cried at stories that were not real. They formed emotional bonds with small animals and called them family. They hugged each other when they met and again when they parted. They sang songs about love and loss and hope. They are weak, the Orvaxian High Council concluded. They will not last long among the stars. The Velthrani, ancient traders who had seen 1,000 species come and go, watched the humans with patient amusement. They noted how humans always offered help before asking for payment. They saw how human ships would change course to answer distress signals, even from strangers, even from former enemies. They are foolish, the Velthrani merchants agreed. Generosity without profit is the path to extinction. The Kathrani Syndicate, a loose alliance of raiders and slavers who operated in the dark spaces between civilized systems, saw something else entirely. They saw opportunity. They saw prey. They are soft vraks, the Syndicate's most feared warlord said to his captains. Soft things break easily, none of them understood. None of them saw the truth hiding beneath the kindness. Admiral Jiho Kong stood on the observation deck of the Sol Horizon, watching the stars drift past like scattered diamonds. He was a tall man with gray at his temples and calm in his eyes. He had served in the fleet for 30 years, first as a young pilot, then as a captain, and now as the admiral of humanity's diplomatic fleet. The Sol Horizon was not a warship. It was a vessel of mercy. Its cargo holds were filled with medicine, not missiles. Its crew included more doctors than soldiers. For the past 3 months, they had been delivering humanitarian aid to the Outer Rim colonies, where the Veltrix plague had killed millions. Admiral Commander Suri Park said, stepping onto the observation deck. She was younger than Jiho, with sharp eyes and a sharper mind. The supply transfer to Refuge Station is complete. All medical personnel have been deployed. Jiho nodded. And the children's ward? Dr. Unicho reports full capacity. They saved 43 patients yesterday alone. A small smile crossed Jiho's face. Good. That is good. This was what humans did. They helped. When the Veltrix plague first appeared, the galaxy had watched with cold indifference. Plagues were natural. Species died. It was the way of things. But the humans had loaded their ships with medicine and doctors and hope. And they had flown into the dying colonies without hesitation. Why do you do this? An Orvaxian diplomat had asked Jiho once, "These are not your people. This is not your concern." Jiho had considered the question carefully before answering. Because they are suffering. Because we can help. Because that is enough. The Orvaxian had not understood. His species operated on logic and self-interest. The idea of sacrifice without benefit was alien to them, but Jiho understood something the Orvaxian did not. Humans were not kind because they were weak. They were kind because they remembered what it was to be weak. They remembered the long nights when their ancestors huddled in caves, listening to predators prowl outside. They remembered the plagues that swept through their villages, the famines that starved their children, the wars that burned their cities to the ground. Humans had suffered. They had bled. They had lost everything and rebuilt from nothing. And through all of it, they had learned one simple truth. Survival was easier together than alone, so they helped. They healed. They extended their hands to strangers and called them friends. But there was something else hidden beneath all that kindness. Something the galaxy had not yet seen. On the medical station called Harmony, Dr. Unicho finished her rounds for the evening. She was exhausted. Her feet ached. Her eyes burned from too many hours under harsh lights. But she smiled as she walked through the children's ward, checking on her patients one last time. Dr. Cho, a small voice called out. A young Velthrani child, barely old enough to speak, reached out from his bed. Will you come back tomorrow? Yuna took his small hand in hers. I will come back every day until you are well enough to go home. The child smiled and closed his eyes. This was why Yuna had become a doctor. Not for money, or fame, or power. For moments like this, for the chance to push back against the darkness, one patient at a time. She did not know that in 12 hours, everything would change. She did not know that monsters were already on their way, drawn by the light of human kindness, like predators drawn to the scent of blood. Far away, in the cold darkness between stars, Vrax gathered his fleet. His mandibles clicked with anticipation. He had chosen his target carefully. A human medical station, lightly defended, filled with soft and valuable hostages. The humans will pay, he told his captains. They always pay. They are too weak to do anything else. He was wrong. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when someone mistook human kindness for human weakness. The lesson would be written in fire and blood, and it would echo through the stars for generations. But for now, the Sol Horizon drifted peacefully among the stars. Its crew unaware of the storm that was coming, and Dr. Unicho slept in her small quarters on Harmony Station, dreaming of the patients she would save tomorrow, the calm before the storm. The silence before the thunder, the galaxy held its breath. The attack came without warning. Harmony Station floated in the darkness of space, its lights glowing warm and steady like a small star. Inside, 2,400 people went about their daily lives. Doctors treated patients. Nurses changed bandages. Families sat by bedsides, holding the hands of their loved ones. Children played in the recreation areas, their laughter echoing through the metal corridors. Then the alarm started. Screaming, Dr. Unicho was in the middle of surgery when the first explosion shook the station. The lights flickered. Equipment rattled. She gripped the operating table to keep her balance, her eyes never leaving the patient beneath her hands. What was that? Her assistant asked, voice tight with fear. Keep working, Yuna said calmly. Whatever it is, this patient needs us right now. But deep in her chest, a cold knot of dread began to form. The Kathrani Syndicate ships had come out of nowhere. 12 vessels, armed and hungry, surrounded Harmony Station like wolves around a wounded deer. Their weapons tore through the station's minimal defenses in seconds. Security teams fought back, but they were doctors and nurses trained to hold rifles, not soldiers. They fell quickly, within 20 minutes. The station belonged to Vrax. The Syndicate soldiers moved through the corridors with brutal efficiency. They rounded up everyone they found and herded them into the main cargo bay. Families clung to each other. Children cried. The elderly and the sick were dragged from their beds and thrown onto the cold metal floor. Vrax himself strode through the chaos like a nightmare made flesh. He was massive, even by Kathrani standards. His black exoskeleton gleamed under the harsh lights. His forearms ended in claws that could tear through steel. His compound eyes reflected the fear of his captives like 1,000 tiny mirrors. Humans, he said, his voice a wet clicking sound that the translation devices turned into words. So soft, so fragile, so valuable. He grabbed a man from the crowd. A young father who had been shielding his daughter with his body. Vrax lifted him off the ground with one arm, studying him like a curious child examining an insect. I have heard much about your kind, Vrax said. You help everyone. You heal the sick. You feed the hungry. You never ask for payment. His mandibles spread in something like a smile. Such generosity. Such weakness. He threw the man back into the crowd and turned to face his captives. Here is what will happen now. I will send a message to your people. I will tell them what I want, money, prisoners, safe passage. And if they do not give me what I want, I will start killing you. One by one, starting with the smallest. A woman screamed. A child began to sob. Vrax laughed, far away on the Seoul horizon. Admiral Ji Ho-kong received the transmission. He stood alone in his quarters, watching the recording on a small screen. He saw Vrax. He saw the hostages. He saw the fear in their eyes and the cruelty in the monster's voice. Then Vrax made his demands. 50 million credits. 12 prisoners released from human custody. Safe passage through protected space. You have 12 hours, Vrax said on the recording. For every hour you are late, I will kill 10 hostages. I will start with the children. To prove he was serious, 3 bodies were ejected into space. The recording showed them tumbling away into the darkness. 2 men and 1 woman. Their names would later be added to the memorial wall. Park Jun-ho Lee, Mingi Kim Seung-woo. Gone forever. Ji-ho watched the recording 3 times. His face did not change. His hands did not shake. But something behind his eyes grew very cold and very still. He pressed a button on his desk. Commander Park, contact Fleet Command. I need Admiral Hannah Lee immediately, and connect me to the President's office. Yes, Admiral. May I ask what has happened? Harmony Station has been taken. We have hostages. There was a long pause. Understood, sir. The next few hours were chaos. Messages flew across the galaxy at faster-than-light speeds. Emergency councils were assembled. Military commanders were roused from their beds. The Galactic Council itself convened an emergency session to discuss the crisis. Everyone expected the same thing. Humans were soft. Humans were kind. Humans always negotiated. They would pay the ransom, accept the terms, and beg for their people back. It was the logical thing to do. It was the safe thing to do. On Harmony Station, Dr. Yuna Cho finished her surgery despite everything. She saved her patient's life while soldiers pounded on the operating room door. Only when the last stitch was in place did she open the door and let them drag her to the cargo bay with everyone else. Now she sat on the cold floor, surrounded by frightened people looking to her for guidance. She was their chief medical officer. She was supposed to have answers. She was supposed to know what to do, but she did not know what to do. She only knew that she would not let these people see her fear. Listen to me, she said quietly to those around her. Stay calm. Stay together. Help those who cannot help themselves. Our people will come for us. How do you know? A young nurse asked, tears streaming down her face. Yuna took her hand, because that is what we do. We do not leave our people behind. Ever. She did not know how right she was. She did not know that at this very moment, across the vast darkness of space, a decision was being made that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. President Do-yeon-yoon sat in his office on Earth, reading the demands one more time. His advisors surrounded him, offering opinions, suggesting strategies, calculating costs. If we pay, one advisor said, we can have our people back within hours. If we pay, another countered, every pirate and slaver in the galaxy will know that humans can be squeezed for profit. The president was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke. Get me the Galactic Council broadcast channel. I will address them directly. His chief of staff blinked. Sir, what will you say? President Yoon stood. His face was carved from stone. His eyes burned with something ancient and terrible. I will remind the galaxy who we are. The broadcast was scheduled for 1 hour later. Every species, every world, every station in the galaxy tuned in to watch. They expected diplomacy. They expected negotiation. They received something else entirely. The galaxy held its breath. On 1,000 worlds, in 1,000,000 homes. Creatures of every shape and size gathered around their screens to watch the human president speak. Some watched with curiosity, others with amusement, a few with something close to pity. Everyone knew how this would go. The humans would beg. They would bargain. They would pay whatever price was demanded because that was what soft species did when faced with hard choices. President Do-yeon-yoon stepped up to the podium. He was not a large man. He did not have claws or fangs or armored skin. He looked exactly like what he was, a middle-aged human with tired eyes and gray hair. Nothing special, nothing dangerous. And then he began to speak. To the Galactic Council and to all who were watching, he said, his voice calm and steady. I address you today regarding the attack on Harmony Station and the taking of our citizens as hostages. The Orvaxian ambassador leaned forward in his seat, ready to hear the expected words of submission. The Kathrani Syndicate has demanded money, prisoners, and safe passage in exchange for our people. They have threatened to kill hostages if we do not agree to their terms. President Yoon paused. When he spoke again, his voice was different, harder, colder. Do not negotiate. Excellence. Complete and total silence across the galaxy. The Orvaxian ambassador actually laughed, certain he had misheard. But the laughter died in his throat when he saw the expression on the human president's face. Let me be clear, President Yoon continued. Humanity does not pay ransoms. We do not release criminals to save ourselves from criminals. We do not grant safe passage to murderers and slavers. We do not make deals with those who threaten our children. He leaned forward, and something changed in his eyes. Something old and primal stirred behind them like a predator waking from a long sleep. To Vrox and the Kathrani Syndicate, I say this: you have made a mistake. You looked at us and saw kindness, and you thought kindness meant weakness. You saw us heal the sick and feed the hungry, and you thought we were soft. You thought we would bend. You thought we would break. His voice dropped to something barely above a whisper, but it carried across every speaker in the galaxy. You thought wrong? In the council chamber, the Velthrani trademaster gripped the arms of his chair. He had lived for 300 years. He had seen empires rise and fall. He had watched species destroy themselves in wars of pride and passion, but he had never heard anything quite like this. You have 6 hours, President Yoon said. 6 hours to release every hostage unharmed. Every single one. If even one person is hurt from this moment forward, the consequences will be severe. And if we do not comply. Vrax's voice crackled through the speakers, broadcast from Harmony Station. He was laughing. What will you do, little human? Cry at us? Hug us to death? President Yoon did not smile. If you do not comply, we will come for our people. We will breach your defenses. We will enter that station, and we will take back what is ours. We will try to negotiate, Vrax said confidently. You always do. You are too soft to fight. There will be no negotiation, the president replied. There will be no warning. There will be no mercy. You have 6 hours. I suggest you use them wisely. The transmission ended. For a long moment, no one in the Galactic Council chamber spoke. Then the Orvaxian ambassador stood, his exoskeleton clicking with agitation. This is madness, he said. They will get their people killed. The logical course of action is to negotiate, to minimize losses, to accept the terms and recover what can be recovered. Perhaps, the elderly Velthrani trademaster said quietly, we do not understand humans as well as we thought we did. On Harmony Station, Vrax received the transmission with amusement. He had expected the humans to bluster. They always did at first, but they always caved in the end. Soft species always caved. They think they can threaten me, he said to his captains, laughing. Me, Vrax the Butcher. I have taken 100 stations. I have killed 10,000 hostages. I have made emperors bow and queens weep. And these humans think they can frighten me with words? He turned to his soldiers. Bring me 5 hostages. The weak ones. The sick ones. We will show them what happens when someone defies the syndicate. Soldiers dragged 5 people from the crowd. An old man. A young woman with a broken arm. A child. 2 nurses who had tried to shield them. Vrax made sure the cameras were recording. He wanted the galaxy to see this. He wanted the humans to see this. You have made your choice, he said to the camera. Now watch what your pride has cost you. One by one, the hostages were executed. Their bodies were thrown aside like garbage. The old man, the young woman, The child. The two nurses. 5 more names for the memorial wall. Choi Young-soo. Bigimin, Han So-young. Moon Haijin. Kwon Jie. Vrax spread his arms wide, blood dripping from his claws. 6 hours. Humans. 6 hours, and I will kill 10 more. Then 20. Then 50. How many are you willing to sacrifice for your pride? He expected fear. He expected surrender. Instead, he received a single transmission from the Seoul horizon. Message received. We are coming. Rax laughed again. But somewhere deep in his predator's brain, in the ancient part that had kept his ancestors alive on a hostile world millions of years ago, something whispered a warning. Something told him that he had made a terrible mistake. He ignored it. He was Vrax the Butcher. He had nothing to fear from soft, emotional creatures who cried at sad stories. Across the galaxy, humanity mobilized. Ships that had spent decades on humanitarian missions began powering up weapon systems that had been dormant for years. Soldiers who had become doctors picked up rifles again. Engineers who had built hospitals began calculating breach points and assault vectors. Admiral Jiho Kong stood on the bridge of the Seoul horizon, surrounded by his officers. Commander Suri Park, Commander Minho Beek, Lieutenant Narration, Sergeant Taiwan. Oh, men and women who had dedicated their lives to healing and helping, now they prepared for war. The President has given us our orders, Jiho said quietly. We do not negotiate with killers. We do not abandon our people. We go in, we get them out, and we make sure no one ever tries this again. Rules of engagement, Admiral, Minho asked. Jiho's eyes were cold and calm. Anyone who raises a weapon against us dies. Anyone who threatens a hostage dies. Anyone who stands between us and our people dies. And Vrax. The Admiral was silent for a moment. Then he spoke a single word. Everyone. The fleet began its approach. 20 ships. Destroyers. Assault. Frigates. Troop carriers. Medical vessels waiting in the rear to receive the wounded. The galaxy watched in disbelief. The soft humans, the kind humans, the humans who cried and laughed and kept pets, they were going to war, and for the first time in a very long time, the galaxy was afraid. The human fleet emerged from hyperspace like ghosts appearing from the darkness. Vrax had expected something. A few ships, perhaps. A small force sent to look threatening while diplomats worked behind the scenes to negotiate a deal. That was how it always worked. Species postured and threatened, but in the end, everyone bargained. Everyone had a price. He did not expect 20 warships. The Seoul horizon led the formation, its massive hull blocking out the stars. Around it, destroyers and frigates moved with silent purpose. Assault carriers hung in the rear, their launch bays already opening. Troop transports accelerated toward the station, their engines burning bright against the void. What is this? Vrax demanded, staring at the tactical display. Where did they come from? Why did we not see them approaching? His communications officer shook his head. They came out of hyperspace inside our detection range, Commander. They were moving at full speed before we even knew they were there. Impossible. No fleet can coordinate a jump that precisely. But the evidence was right in front of him. The humans had not just arrived. They had arrived in perfect formation, at perfect speed. At the perfect angle, to maximize confusion and minimize response time, Vrax felt something he had not felt in a very long time. A tiny seed of doubt. Hail them, he ordered. Tell them we will negotiate. Tell them I am willing to reduce my demands, communications officer tried. Again and again. The humans did not respond. They are not answering, Commander. Then threaten them. Tell them I will kill the hostages. Already did, Commander. They said, ... The officer hesitated. What? What did they say? They said every hostage you kill adds another ship to the assault. Vrax's mandibles clicked with frustration. This was not how it was supposed to work. Species were supposed to fear him. They were supposed to beg and bargain and eventually give him what he wanted. They were not supposed to ignore his threats and keep coming. All hands to battle stations, he ordered. Prepare to repel boarders. The first breach came at Cargo Bay. 7. The assault team moved through the hole in the station's hull like water through a crack. 12 soldiers in black armor, their faces hidden behind helmets, their movements silent and precise. Commander Minho Beak led them, his rifle raised, his eyes scanning the corridor ahead. They encountered the first Syndicate patrol within seconds. For Kathrani warriors, armed and ready, the firefight lasted 3 seconds. The patrol died before they could raise an alarm. Section 7 clear, Minho reported into his communicator. Moving to Section 8. The same time, a second breach occurred at engineering. Lieutenant Narration led her team through the station's maintenance corridors, disabling security systems as they went. She was smaller than most soldiers, quick and quiet, with hands that could perform surgery or disable a bomb with equal skill. Engineering team in position, she reported. Cutting their power in 30 seconds. Copy that, came Admiral Jiho's voice. All teams, prepare for blackout. The lights went out across Harmony Station. For the Syndicate soldiers, it was chaos. They stumbled in the darkness, unable to see, unable to coordinate. Their communications went dead. Their sensors went blind. For the human soldiers, it was exactly what they had trained for. Their helmets switched to night vision automatically. Their communications used encrypted frequencies the Syndicate could not jam. They moved through the darkness like shadows, room by room, corridor by corridor. Every Syndicate soldier who raised a weapon died. Every guard post was eliminated. Every defensive position was overrun. The humans did not hesitate. They did not negotiate. They did not offer surrender. In the main cargo bay, Vrox heard the gunfire getting closer. He pulled Dr. Unicho from the crowd and held a blade to her throat. Stay back, he screamed into the darkness. I will kill her. I will kill them all. The hostages huddled together, terrified. But Dr. Unicho remained calm. She looked into the darkness, and somehow she knew. They are coming, she said quietly. Shut up. Vrax pressed the blade tighter against her throat. A thin line of blood appeared. I am in control here. I am. A single shot rang out. The blade clattered to the floor. Vrax stumbled, his right arm suddenly useless. A hole burned through his exoskeleton. From the shadows, Sergeant Taiwano stepped forward. His rifle was still raised, his aim still perfect. Behind him, more soldiers emerged, surrounding the cargo bay in a ring of black armor and silent purpose.
I will release the hostage, Taiwan said.
His voice was calm. Almost polite, Vrax tried to grab Dr. Cho with his other arms. Another shot. Another arm disabled. Release the hostage, Taiwan repeated. Vrax backed away, his remaining arms raised in surrender. Wait. Wait. We can negotiate. I have information. I have connections. I can be valuable to you. We do not negotiate with killers. Taiwan fired one more time. Vrax the Butcher, terror of the Outer Rim, fell to the floor and did not move again. Sergeant Taiwano lowered his rifle and offered a small bow to Dr. Cho. Ma'am, the station is secure. Are you injured? Yuna touched her throat, feeling the thin cut where the blade had pressed. I am fine. The others' medical teams are already on their way. We will have everyone evacuated within the hour. Around them, the hostages began to realize what had happened. Some cried. Some laughed. Some simply sat in stunned silence, unable to believe they were still alive. Dr. Unicho looked at the soldier who had saved her. At the black armor and the smoking rifle and the calm professional demeanor. Thank you, she said. Taewon nodded. Just doing our job, ma'am. Across the station, the pattern repeated. Every syndicate position was neutralized. Every hostage was recovered. The operation took 47 minutes from first breach to final clearance. Not a single human soldier was lost. Admiral Jiho Kong stepped onto Harmony Station as the evacuation began. He walked through the corridors where his people had fought and bled, the bodies of the enemy who had dared to threaten humanity's own. Commander Sori Park met him at the cargo bay entrance. Sir, all hostages accounted for. 2,400 souls, minus the 12 who were executed before we arrived. Jiho closed his eyes for a moment. 12 names. 12 people who would never go home. See that their families are notified personally, he said, and see that their names are added to the memorial. Yes, sir. He opened his eyes and looked around the cargo bay. At the survivors being led to safety, at the soldiers standing guard, at the body of Rax lying forgotten in a corner. It is over, he said quietly. But it was not over. Not really. This was only the beginning. Across the galaxy, the footage was already spreading. The attack, the refusal to negotiate, the assault, the precision. The victory species who had dismissed humans as soft and weak watched the recordings with new eyes. They saw the kindness. Yes. But now they saw something else beneath it. Something old and dangerous. Something that had been sleeping for a very long time. The humans had shown the galaxy what they were capable of. Now came the harder part, making sure the galaxy never forgot. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so quiet. Representatives from 100 species sat in their designated seats, arranged in a great circle around the central speaking platform. For 10,000 years, this chamber had witnessed treaties and declarations, alliances and betrayals, the rise and fall of civilizations. It had seen everything. It had never seen anything like this. Ambassador Gi Moon walked to the speaking platform with measured steps. She was a small woman with silver hair and gentle eyes. She looked like someone's grandmother, the kind of person who baked cookies and told stories to children. Nothing about her appearance suggested danger, but the delegates watched her with new eyes now. They had seen the footage from Harmony Station. They had watched the human soldiers move through darkness like predators. They had seen Vrax fall, and the Syndicate fall with him. Now they waited to hear what the humans would say. Ambassador Moon reached the platform and stood in silence for a moment, looking around the chamber. Her gaze touched each delegate in turn. The Orvaxians, with their rigid logic, the Velthrani with their ancient wisdom, the dozens of other species who had watched humanity stumble into the galactic community and dismissed them as soft and weak. "You have questions," she said at last. Her voice was soft, but it carried through the chamber like a bell. "You want to know why? You want to understand?" She clasped her hands in front of her, calm and composed. "For years, you have watched us. You have seen us cry at sad stories and laugh at silly jokes. You have seen us keep small animals as friends and call them family. You have seen us spend fortunes to help strangers and heal the sick." A murmur rippled through the chamber. Some delegates nodded. Others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "You thought this made us weak," Ambassador Moon continued. "You thought our kindness was a flaw. You thought our compassion was a crack in our armor. You thought we would bend when pushed and break when tested." She paused, letting the silence stretch. "You were wrong." The Orvaxian ambassador opened his mouth to speak, but something in the human's eyes made him close it again. "We are kind because we choose to be kind," Ambassador Moon said. "We are merciful because we believe in mercy. We help the weak because we remember what it was to be weak ourselves." She took a step forward, and her voice grew harder. "But we are not prey. We did not claw our way to the top of our planet's food chain by being prey. We did not survive ice ages and plagues and wars and disasters by being weak. We did not reach the stars by bending every time something pushed against us." The delegates leaned forward, hanging on every word. "Our planet was harsh," she said. "Our world had predators with claws and fangs and poison. It had storms that could level cities and earthquakes that could swallow mountains. It had diseases that killed millions and famines that starved millions more. Everything on our world tried to kill us. Everything." A thin smile crossed her face. "We killed it back. Every predator that hunted us, we hunted in return, until they feared us more than we feared them. Every disease that struck us, we studied and defeated. Every disaster that threatened us, we endured and rebuilt. We did not survive because we were strong. We survived because we refused to give up." She turned slowly, making eye contact with delegates around the chamber. "That is what you did not understand about us. Our kindness is not weakness. It is a choice. We choose to be gentle, because we know how to be harsh. We choose to be merciful because we know how to be merciless. We extend our hands in friendship because we know what happens when we clench them into fists. The Velthrani trademaster spoke up, his ancient voice crackling with curiosity. Then why? Why be kind at all? If you have this capacity for violence, why hide it behind smiles and charity? Ambassador Moon looked at him with something like sadness in her eyes. Because violence is easy, she said. Destruction is easy. Any fool with a weapon can take a life, but building something, creating something, helping someone, that is hard. That takes strength of a different kind. She shook her head slowly. We choose kindness because it is the harder path. Because it is the better path. Because we looked at what we could be and decided we wanted to be more than just survivors. We wanted to be builders, healers, friends. She paused. But we never forgot what we are capable of, and we never will. The chamber was silent. Even the Orvaxians, with their cold logic and careful calculations, seemed moved. Let this serve as a message to the galaxy, Ambassador Moon said, her voice ringing clear and strong. Humanity will always extend its hand in friendship first. We will share our medicine and our knowledge and our hearts. We will be the first to arrive when disaster strikes, and the last to leave when the work is done. We will help anyone who asks for help, without asking for anything in return. Her eyes hardened. But if you harm our people, we will come for them. If you threaten our families, we will stop you. If you take what is ours and think we will simply accept the loss, you are wrong. You're very, very wrong. She stepped back from the platform. The Kathrani Syndicate learned this lesson. Brax the Butcher learned this lesson. Let their fate serve as a warning to anyone else who might be tempted to test us. She turned to leave, then paused at the edge of the platform. We do not want war. We do not seek enemies. We do not enjoy violence. But if you force our hand, we will not hesitate. We will not negotiate. We will not show mercy to those who show no mercy to the innocent. Her final words echoed through the chamber. Humans do not bargain with killers. We bury them. She walked out of the chamber. The doors closed behind her. The galaxy was left to contemplate what it had learned. In the months that followed, things changed. Pirates who had once preyed on human ships suddenly found other hunting grounds. Slavers gave human stations a wide berth. Criminal syndicates added a new rule to their codes. Do not touch the humans. But other things changed too. More species began to ask for human help. Medical missions expanded. Humanitarian aid increased. Where humans had once been seen as naive and foolish, they were now seen as something else. Trustworthy, reliable, safe. Because if the humans would go that far to protect their own, they would go that far to protect their friends. On a rebuilt Harmony station, Dr. Unicho returned to work. The corridors still bore scars from the attack, but the lights were bright and the patients were healing. Life went on, as it always did. One evening, she found a message waiting for her. It was from Admiral Jiho Kong. Doctor, the message said, I wanted you to know that I have recommended Harmony Station for the Medal of Valor. Every person on that station, doctors, nurses, patients, families showed courage beyond measure. You kept people calm when everything was falling apart. You gave them hope when there was no reason to hope. That matters. That will always matter. Una read the message 3 times. Then she wiped her eyes and got back to work. There were patients to heal. There was work to do. There was kindness to spread. Because that was what humans did. They helped. They healed. They built. But they also remembered. Across the galaxy. A new phrase spread among traders and travelers, pirates and politicians. It became a warning and a proverb passed from species to species, world to world. Do not touch the humans, they remember. And in the quiet spaces between stars, where the ghosts of Rax and his syndicate drifted forever in the cold dark, the galaxy remembered too. The soft humans, the kind humans. The humans who laughed and cried and loved. The most dangerous species in the galaxy, not because they were cruel, not because they were violent, but because they knew how to be both and chose to be neither until someone gave them no other choice. The galaxy had learned its lesson. It would not forget.